Hey guys, what's going on? You see all the comments on the video yesterday? All these people trying to prove me wrong? Basically what it boils down to is there's two things that make the Z06 different than all other cars, and those two things are why the oil raises. Do you know what those two things are? If you guys weren't mentally disabled, you'd know. There's two high side fuel pumps and only one low side fuel pump, so there's a Y in the fuel line. That's the first thing that makes the car different from all other cars. There's maybe a couple other out there in the world, and I bet you they have a similar problem. But the reason why they don't have the problem as bad as the Z06 is because the second problem that the Z06 has, the car doesn't get up to temperature in cold weather. Why does it matter that a car doesn't get up to temperature in cold weather? Well, first of all, let's say that you have some water in the combustion chamber. Instead of that water turning into steam and going out the exhaust valve, it doesn't turn into steam. What's the boiling point of water? 212 degrees. And it takes time for the water to get to that, to boil once it's at 212 degrees. It doesn't just happen in the blink of an eye. It's got to kind of sit there for a second. It's not in the chamber very long, guys. So when the coolant temps are down at 170 and the oil temperatures are down in the 130s, guess what the water doesn't do in the chamber? It doesn't boil. Oh shit. So guess what? It can't go out the exhaust valve like all the learning disabled people keep suggesting that it's going to do. Water doesn't just jump and flow uphill. It sits there on the rings. So then the next things that everybody explains that they think that they're so smart about, they say, no, Brandon, the water can't get past the rings. Oh, really? So when a piston isn't up at temperature yet and it's not expanded all the way yet, and the ring also isn't expanded all the way yet, you're telling me that thin water, which is thinner than oil, when the blow-by is blowing by the piston in the downward direction from the combustion, you're telling me that water can't be blown down through the piston ring on both sides of the piston ring? When the piston is too small and the ring is also too small, not to mention that the gap on the piston ring, which is a big giant C, that gap expands when it's cold. When it gets hot is when it finally closes. And it never completely closes. There's always a little bit of a gap, but when it's cold, there's a big gap. And then these mentally disabled weirdos, they work for General Motors is what it comes down to, guys. The Corvette cult of cluelessness, it's a big paid, there's people who are paid, then there's the dummies. And I almost wonder if, people like Justin are horsepower obsessed, these people aren't not even paid and they're just so dumb that they just believe the rest of the Corvette cult of cluelessness. But the point is, and then they just, mimic everything like a parrot. Okay, but the point is that if there's a little bit of a gap in the ring, even if it's just like a fraction of a drop of water that makes its way down each time, the car's idling at 1,000 RPM, guys. What happens if the car idles for 10 minutes? What happens if you go on a 12-hour road trip and you're driving through the rain and the cold weather, which I was? It was raining. There was humidity in the air. It was 35 degrees outside. Any more objections from the idiots who don't understand the two problems with the cars? The YVT, whatever shape it is, in the low side fuel line allows the water and the gasoline to recoalesce because they can go opposite directions as the little tiny globs of water and gasoline come up and hit that V. Water's going to recoalesce with water, gasoline's going to recoalesce with gasoline. Water ethanol goes one way, gasoline goes the other way on average. And if it finally flips, that's fine. Then one's going that way and one's going the other way. And the point is, when it gets up to the rails, you're going to have one bank running one way and one bank running the other way. It's very simple. Unless you're not very smart. General Motors thought they were going to be able to fool you guys with their magic tricks. And the magicians are in the groups trying to emphasize the magic tricks, trying to, no, Brandon, no water could get past the rings when the engine's not up to temperature. No, Brandon, no. Mark Royce, stop sale soon, big dog. You know I haven't sent anything to the National Highway Safety Administration yet. That's about to change, Mark. I've been patient. I've been waiting for your people at General Motors to have the IQ to call me back, Mark, and say, Hey, Brandon, that lemon, we want to buy it back. We want it back now, fast. No, Mark, your whole entire organization is a shit show, isn't it? Including you. Go run into another fucking wall. Make sure you have Tadge lock the EDIF up so much, Mark. That way you can set a speed record to 233 and make sure there's no turns. No turns, lock the EDIF up so that Mark Royce can't possibly wreck and go 233 miles per hour. Good job, Mark. Your C8ZR1 is going to be blowing motors left and right because we know what causes the problems. See ya.